Hello, my friends, and welcome to Italy, a Place to Love YouTube channel, the channel where I like to talk about the good, the bad, and all we have to know about Italy and about the life in Italy. All right, so by the title, you can already see. So the topic of today's video is stay out of debts. Now, this is not a financial recommendation. I'm not an economist, but this is what I'm feeling. And I will also talk about my personal life and my personal experience in the video. But so, why I decided to talk about this topic today, to stay out of debts? Now, because in one of my last videos, I basically called the video Italy is Falling Apart. All right. So, and I had a lot of views, a lot of comments, very interesting comments. I will make tomorrow a video about the comments that I had under the video. Very, very interesting. One side, another side, one opinion, one problem. This is the cause, this is another cause. So people are thinking in different ways and so on. Life is like this. But so now, before I enter into the topic of today's video, please put like, subscribe, smash the bell, hype the video, and do whatever can be done to help my channel to grow. All right, so let's enter into the topic of the video. Stay out of debts. Now, because I said Italy is falling apart, and a lot of comments under the video said, Antonio, don't worry. It's not only Italy that is falling apart, it's simply everywhere. All right. So basically we are all in the same pot. Even if I don't like this definition about everywhere, because this is a problem that we have in the West. It's a thing. I don't want to say another thing, but anyway, it's a thing. We think that we are the world, while it's not like that. So simply, there is 80% of the world that is not following the same rules that we are following in. So I'm talking about the West and the life in the West and the way we have been educated and the way we have been also educated in the way of spending money. Here, also, we should talk about each generation. For example, now we can talk about the baby boomers or Gen X, like me, the millennials, Gen Z, and so on. All these things. Obviously, these four generations are living the life in a completely different way from one generation to another. Obviously, now it depends on in which generation you that you are watching you are part. You might consider yourself, and you might have one opinion or another. All right. So again, stay out of debt. Italy is falling apart, but not only Italy. And I totally agree with this. The fact that we might see problems in France, problem in UK, problems in Germany, Germany that is the engine of Europe is in recession now nearly 2 years. United States, a lot of complaints are coming as well from United States, where there are a lot of people who would like to leave. But overall, the situation is always split in two. People are always divided. There are the one who think in one way and the one who think in another way. We are educated to think or in a way or in another. I would always like to say, listen, detach by what is told to us. Maybe our opinion is not really our opinion. And that's where I'm always trying to investigate and to educate myself. But so now I want to start talking about myself, my life. Now, I think I belong to a very particular category. I don't know if you're watching I don't know, many people will watch and so on, but I'll tell you this. In my life, I never had a mortgage. I never had a loan. All right. So basically, I never kind of ask for any money. Basically, all the things I've done in my life, I've done it by one simple rule. So by saving. Okay. So basically, I want to buy this because, okay, I will tell you more, but I want to buy this, I want to buy that. So in my understanding, I start always saying, okay, let's start saving for this and let's saving for that. Um, so basically, all the properties I bought in my life, cars that I bought, whatever I bought in my life. So I never went to the bank. I never went to any institution and asking for this institution to to borrow me the money. Never, simply. Now it never happened simply because I never been in the position by the jobs, for example, to ask for a. While I was in Italy before my 30s, I always had temporary contracts. Now, if you have temporary contracts, you know you cannot apply for a mortgage. All right. So I had to say, okay, I cannot do anything, even if I wanted. And so I went to the bank and say, no, listen, you don't have the pay slip, nothing you don't have a permanent job, nothing you can do. Obviously, if I cannot get a mortgage, I'm not even going to ask for a loan because maybe the loan would have given to me if I wanted to buy a new car. But then I start processing in my mind, in this world, there's something working against me. So, or I'm in the situation to go for debt, or if I'm not in the condition, in the situation, which the institution never gave me. So, and I said something working against me, and I had to say to myself, all right, it's time, Antonio, that you start working for yourself. Simply. Simple as easy. So, without, and that moment in my mind, I set my mind that I would never had, already before my 30s, I understood that I would never had a loan or a mortgage and so on. Then I moved to Ireland. In Ireland, I got a permanent job. So in Ireland, but I didn't have a statusy job. I was working simply in the retail industry comfortably for 17 years. So I never even sent a CV. The first job I got, that one, I kept that one forever. So I didn't even care about following careers, because I understood that for me something was wrong, even in chasing careers and this type of things. Okay, I need to earn, I need to make more money, but I could have made more money by just using my brain and start understanding the dynamics of the life around me. So then I moved to Ireland. Anyway, when it was the time for me to buy a house in Ireland, I had savings because I always saved in my life. I always saved money because I said, I never know. One day I want to buy a property, I want to buy a house, and so on. Basically, I went to the bank, I went with my payslip, and they simply say, this is the amount you can get. Now, I didn't know the rules to apply for a mortgage in Ireland when they told me the rules, because I went with a massive plan. I wanted to buy 30 apartments, anyway, mad story. I had the chance and I gave my plan. I went there in such a naive way. I went to the bank and say, you are not okay. I said, but here's the paper. I'm not even asking you a 30 years mortgage. I can repay you back in 10 years time. And they say, no way, things are not working like this. And I said, okay, this is my money. How much can you give me? was a ridiculous amount, based on my payslip, which I repeat, I didn't have an high income. And so then I said, okay, this is the money I have. Let's see what's on the market. And I just bought the property over there without mortgage, simply because I said the system is not friendly to me. And this is what I always realize in my life. And then, anyway, okay, then I generate, passive incomes. I always use my brain. Now I'm not here to explain you everything, but I never lived in the property that I bought. For example, never was in a strategic position, was in a good position. I always got very good rents, plus my salary, plus a bit of trading. I always like to invest, and so on. And then, anyway, then I moved to other markets simply because I met my wife, and I found very, very profitable to buy where my wife is from. All right. If you want to know where my wife is from, if you don't know, you can ask me under the comment section. So I went over there, and I went always with my savings, and I said, okay, it's profitable. This is very good price to buy a property. I only buy properties when they are cheap, never, and when they don't have renovation works. So, and over there, I bought properties. I bought two properties over there, always cash. Obviously, we are not talking about hundreds of thousands of euros, but I'm talking about thousands. All right, with less than 80,000, I bought two properties. And I would always keep saving and saving and saving. Then back in 2024, I moved to Italy. I moved back to Italy. I moved here. Then I decided to sell my property in Ireland, nearly triple. So just to let you know, the numbers nearly tripled the value. I say, okay, maybe I can get even a tiny bit more if I keep longer, but who cares? Let's cash the profit. And obviously, then I moved here, and I bought a property for 1/10 of the price that I sold in Ireland. All right. So, with the other properties abroad, where my wife is from, and so on. So basically, I'm 48. Now I'm 48. I go for 49 years old in April. And I was thinking in these days that the sense of freedom that I have, I feel very, very free. Now, it's not because I want to give a lot of credits to myself, but the perception, even if I have the perception that the country is falling apart, technically I don't have this perception. I don't have these feelings. Simply because I'm out of debts and I feel free. Now, again, here I go back to the different four generations that I mentioned before. I feel free. I'm out of debts. I don't have to pay a rent. I don't have to pay a mortgage. Stress free. I earn as much as I need to live the life. I have plenty of savings, which are just invested at a very low percentage, simply because at the moment I don't find anything interesting, nothing profitable to invest. My last good investment was in 2021, 2022. I cannot mention what, but anyway, I invested that. Nowadays, a friend of mine was asking me, Antonio, but so nowadays, what would you invest? Because I always gave some recommendation, I always gave recommendation to some friends about how to invest, to make some profit, how to live a decent life, how to be happy. Then everyone is free to do whatever they want. They don't have really to follow. It's just my recommendation. Nowadays, I can only recommend to anyone who is asking me, oh, Antonio, what would you do as an investment? close all your debts. If you have debts, get rid of your debts. I don't have any other recommendation at the moment. Like, don't buy gold at these mad prices. Don't buy cryptocurrencies at these mad prices. Don't enter in the stock market at these mad prices. I'm not gonna say there's gonna be a crash tomorrow, but it might happen. It's always a cycle. Economy is like this. If you're following the economy, there is a moment to enter and there is a moment to get out. This is my recommendation, but I'm only saying stay out of debt. Then again, the baby boomers. The baby boomers, now I want to focus on baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z. Gen Z, these four generations that obviously I will also see by the comments under the video, for example, to who, by what people are writing, I can already understand to which generation they belong. Because obviously the baby boomers are the one who really have done everything in their lives with the debt. All right, whatever they did, they had access to credit, they had access to debt when salaries had a big power purchasing, when salaries were increasing. So to afford a mortgage, to afford a loan wasn't a problem at all. So the perspective maybe from this generation, it will never be, oh no, don't open, it's wrong what you're doing, what you're saying, because obviously they had access. They had the benefits from this system, which was the debt system, like my parents. My parents are boomers, baby boomers, and all they've done in their life, But me, that I'm one generation from my parents, and when I'm talking about money with my mom, which even if she has no education, zero education, very, very smart with money, I'm always saying, Mom, I never opened a mortgage yourself. You have done all you have done in your life thanks to the access to the credit. Myself, nothing. I already found a barrier. I'm talking about Italy. I'm talking about the 90s. I could have already seen the barrier towards. Then I'm not saying the majority of my generation, the millennials, they bought properties and they also bought with mortgage. All right. That was still anyway accessible if you had a good pay slip, if you had a good job, was still accessible, And who benefit from this? But then if I go to the millennials and if I go to the Gen Z, who have really difficulties now to apply or for a mortgage or for a loan, and if they did, or the abuse of the credit cards, because the millennials and let's say Gen Z are the one who are abusing most of the credit cards simply to afford to have a life, to do things, to travel, to visit a place, to visit another place, to buy a car. But how hard it is now to repay back these loans and these mortgages. They're draining people's life. They're simply draining the blood of this generation who now are forced to work under such a heavy stress with salaries which are not increasing at all. Simply, the salaries should be 3 times higher than they are now for us to have a decent life. That's why sometimes I say to myself, okay, if it's necessary, I will go back to work. But if I can stay away from work, if I can not be productive towards this society that is not friendly towards me, so why should I be helpful towards a society which is not helpful at all towards me? So then I found myself in this position where I'm totally debt-free. I could decide to move into a town that is 1,000 inhabitants. One salary in a family is enough. I don't have children, of course, children. I'm always repeating, never, nothing against people who have children, but it's difficult even to have children nowadays. Families are struggling because the cost of the life is simply crazy. So I go back to the beginning of the video. Stay out of debts if you want to have a happy life, a relaxed, more than happy, a relaxed life. Now, I'm not talking about baby boomers because they are pensioners, they are getting their pensions, they repay back their loans, they repay back their mortgages, so now they're owning properties. This wealth will pass from one generation to another. A lot of people will be in this situation, me included, where all the things that my parents have done have done it simply for me and for my sister. So there will be wealth passing from one generation to another. This will help, obviously, Gen X and millennials. Partially, a bit less will help the Gen Z, maybe because Gen Z, they're already the sons and the daughter of my generation, who are still anyway in a working age, who maybe still have mortgages and loans, maybe, but anyway, they will hardly have the possibility to buy. Gen Z obviously is the one that is in the worst condition, in the worst situation. That's why I'm saying my recommendation in the end is mainly for the Gen Z. Stay out of debts. Obviously, the other generations, if they have debts, I would say try to close it. Obviously, a mortgage, you can still keep a mortgage, but to go and buy things that technically I don't really need in these days, because if I enter into loans, if I enter into the mortgage system nowadays, I will be forcefully pushed to go to work. And to go to work just to repay back their debts, not to make myself happy. This is the key point that I hope I pass through this video. Anyway, let me know what do you think about this situation under the comment sections, my friends. I try to tell you a bit my story, how I've been always all my life debt free. Now, if I want to make a new bathroom here, which I don't need because it's in perfect condition, I pay cash. I need to change the gas boiler, I pay cash. I need to buy a car, I pay cash. I won't even go to the bank, even if obviously the fact that I can get a loan and it gives me the benefit to have that object, that thing straight away, right now. I don't have to wait. We live in this situation that we want everything right now, which is wrong. That's where we have to detach and try to move to a simple life, out of debts, because a life out of debts is the only way to make yourself happy. Then you will keep working. I'm not saying, oh no, stop working if you don't have debts. No, because you will work for some goals, you will work for some investments, but stay out of debts if you can, obviously. But I give you my forecast, which is a very negative forecast. All right. I believe that not everyone, listen to this, between 80 and 90%, for me, by what the things are by the way the things are going, by the financial situation, 90% in the worst scenario, 90% of the people who open a mortgage between 2017 and 2025, for me, they will lose the house in the next 5 years. I'm not sure they will even be able to repay back their mortgage. Then what is going to happen? Okay, this is a catastrophic scenario. Take it with a pinch of salt, with a grain of salt. Take it like that. But try to imagine if everyone who had bought a property between 2016, 2017, and let's say 2015 and 2025, in the last 10 years, with a 30 years mortgage, might have the chance a big chance to lose the property, to go in a difficult situation, to not be able to pay back their mortgage. On top, if they have loans, even worse. All right, my friends, kind of, I hope I acknowledge someone through this. For me, it's very important, in particular because I moved to a small town where there are no really a lot of, let's say, there's not huge potential at the moment. People are running away, young generations are running away simply because they're trying to build a future, but I don't know which future. And with these words, which future, I'm gonna close the video. All right, my friends, I hope you have enjoyed this a bit negative, catastrophistic, but at the same positive video. All right, my friends, have a nice day, and I'll see you here on Italy, a Place to Love YouTube channel. Bye.